Good fucking morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Proof of Person. Happy fucking Wednesday. Today we have Jason with us, founder of DGen, as our main guest for episode 29. Jason, thank you for joining the show and taking the time. How are you doing today?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, doing pretty good. A little bit tired today, but I don't think that's going to affect the show. Other than that, all is good. It's a big day today because we're releasing the DGen app officially.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to hear all about it. So excited for today. Big day, big milestone. Congrats. I'm going to say congrats a few times throughout the show, but I can't wait to hear everything about it. And yeah, so many exciting things to talk about today. Journey experiences, obviously the app, the beginning of DGen, 2 years almost of your launch in 2024, and much more. 1 million followers, everything. So yeah, for anyone just joining, make sure to like, comment, retweet the show. It's going to be a really good one. And yeah, share your stream to everyone that you know, and strangers, your neighbors, everyone around. It's going to be very exciting. Jason, before we could begin, and for everyone that doesn't know you, do you mind doing a quick TLDR of who you are and just a bit of your background? And then
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I've been like a database developer, programmer for the last 10 years. Started in fintech and, well, yeah, kind of more like TradFi finance kind of stuff. Worked a little bit at IBM, but most of my career was like at Credit Suisse. Then I worked for a Polish bank called mBank. And then 3.5, maybe like 4 years. Well, actually, time is flying because DGen's been around for 2 years. So maybe like 5, 6-ish years ago, actually, I joined Hedgehog.app, which was the first startup I ever worked at. And that was a startup that had financing from Y Combinator. I'd always wanted to work for a startup that had investment from Y Combinator. They also had investment from Dragonfly. And so that's sort of where I happened to chance upon the evolution of crypto, because back in college I knew about Bitcoin, and that was like a while ago too. But I had really not followed like the developments. And then at Hedgehog, which was basically a crypto company, I learned sort of like the new innovations, new things happening. And after that, I decided, hey, I'm going to start my own thing. And that was about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, in December 2023. And now we're here. Now we're at DGen, doing cool new things.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and very strong background in finance and banking. How did you find about? I mean, you started with Bitcoin, and then you wanted to create your own thing, and then it led to DGen, or did you have something in between?
Yeah. So in college, I learned about about Bitcoin. I think there was like the first like bigger news cycle. And I had sort of just seen that the price went up drastically and people were talking about it. I think it was also on TV a little bit. And so I bought a little bit of Bitcoin and messed around with it. I think I maybe even made some money and sold some. But I didn't really get like, I got pretty deep. Like I was trying to build people with the blockchain and tell them about like this innovative, like new technology, all that kind of stuff. So I got pretty deep into it. And then, because I grew up in LA, I moved to Poland right after college, and then since then, I sort of, I stopped sort of following what was going on. I started focusing on my career, and then at Hedgehog is kind of when I got back into that. And then since then, like Ethereum had been created, and like smart contracts, and all this other stuff. So I kind of got caught up with like what was going on in this whole like cryptocurrency world. And for DGen itself, essentially, I had like 2 years ago, I went to my first ever crypto conference, and I've only been to like 3 or 4 maybe since then. So it was kind of like a cool experience. But since I was a database developer, I was on this platform called Dune Analytics. It's like the biggest data analytics platform for crypto. And yeah, and so it was like really easy for me to essentially do cool things with the data, create cool dashboards and basically like business intelligence type of stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of where I got started. So I decided, hey, I'm going to go to DoomCon, which was happening then in Portugal. And so I went there, I met the founders. There was also Richard Chen, who was a partner at One Confirmation, and that was like a big VC that I just really admired. I didn't get a chance to talk to him because there's just a lot of people that were sort of like trying to pitch their ideas and things like that. I figured out it doesn't really make sense. I don't even have like a great idea at that point. And but I did get to talk to the founders of Dune, and in particular Max, who's the CTO. He sort of told me his story, and I got sort of inspired. Like, hey, he was basically taking a day off of work every week, and then he started to like try and take more days off of work because he started realizing that hey, he can't really create a startup after hours or on the weekends. And then finally, he quit his job, and I told him I quit my job too. He's like, and so that was the first time they sort of like patted me on the back, like congratulations, all that kind of stuff. Whereas everybody else, sort of in like the typical world, was kind of like, "Oh man, what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna try and find a new job?" And everybody at the DuneCon was like, "Congratulations, man! Like, great, great, great idea, all that kind of stuff." And so, yeah, I felt a little bit comforted that like, okay, this is cool. I'm gonna try something new. And yeah, that's kind of where I got a little bit more courage from. Started messing around with ideas, and DGen took off really, really quickly because I quit my job early November of 2023. Took a month off. Then middle of December, I started working on DGen, and then by January 7th, DGen was released, and boom, like we were off to the races. The price just kept rising until it went from essentially $5,000 that I put in the initial liquidity pool to in May or April to like 1 billion market cap. So from a $5,000 market cap to a billion, uh, it was kind of insane. And also at that point, it was interesting. Last thing I guess I could say about that, it's kind of interesting because AI and ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff was just starting to get more traction, sort of also online in the media. And there was all these news articles of like, one day there's going to be a startup that is founded by one person using AI, and it's going to be $1 billion market cap. And I was reading that at the point in time when DGen was already at $1 billion market cap. And so I was like, that's me, you guys. Like I
You're
already
right
did
about
it.
me.
Yeah, yeah. So it was kind of like really wild. Of course, that was also the 2024 meme crypto cycle, and so since then we've had like a brutal 95% sort of drawdown, but a lot of alts have also experienced that. But we're still at a really good place, at a really healthy market cap and stuff. So I'm really happy where we are, and it's been a crazy ride.
Man, what a story. That's incredible. I mean, I did some research before the show, obviously, but I didn't know it was that deep. And also, there's quite a few very successful stories that you have a job and you start as a side hustle and then just eventually start transitioning into what you're most passionate about. With this, in this case, then it turned out to be DJing. Um, wow, like yeah, speechless in that side. When you were creating DGen, what was your like target market cap, or like where do you see it the highest, or were you thinking 1 billion? Like that's an insane level to get to, obviously, especially when you like 5K in the liquidity pool initially, and then it goes skyrockets to that in 3 to 4 months, not overnight. But what was the initial vision, and what were you targeting when you created it?
Yeah, so the initial thing was really I had really liked FriendTech. Friend.tech had came out right when Base launched. The Base blockchain launched in August 2 years ago. I think that was also 2023. And so essentially, I'd seen FriendTech. They had launched initially with their SocialFi app, and Racer was just really ahead of the game. Like essentially, he had Privy embedded wallets. He had like the ability to sort of like link to your Twitter, and so like essentially like this idea of like creator tokens, which is sort of like this new meta that's rising. Essentially, Frentech was also like a token launcher for people. Like you could launch your own token before like Pump.fun and all that kind of stuff. So I was really inspired by that. I thought it was really innovative and cool and new. And so I kind of wanted to do some more experimentation in the SocialFi area. And so Degen basically started on Farcaster. So I'd also been on Farcaster, which was decentralized social. And for those who don't know, just it's sort of like your posts and everything are sort of owned by you in a way, or at least they're not hidden behind, like they're not owned by like some kind of like third party, let's say. I mean, technically maybe Farcaster does own it. I don't know what the privacy policy is and how the ownership construct works, but all the posts are in the open and anybody can build on that data. It's sort of like email where you can have different people using different email clients and we can still communicate with each other. So I really thought that was a cool idea that the data is open, and me being like a data programmer, a database programmer, I really like that idea. So yeah, and I was hanging out on Farcaster and then sort of like the Farcaster Degen channel, and people just started launching tokens, and this was pre-pump.fun, and Elon was also on Farcaster. I'm sure he was also seeing the Frontech stuff. And yeah, a lot of these tokens weren't launched properly, or they had bugs and things like that. But they were going like $1 million market caps, and I was like, well, I'm looking for something to do. Preferably, I'm trying to get some kind of funding and get, not just live off of my savings for the next few months if I can. So even though I told my wife that we're, so she was fine with it, that hey, we're going to live off of the savings, and I'm going to experiment with like ideas. So anyway, yeah, it just happened organically, and there was no plan of like, yes, there's some target business plan, or we're going to get to this point. I just saw that there was a lot of pent up energy on Farcaster for a token, and somebody was going to launch one. It's like, and so I decided, hey, I'll launch the Degen token for the Degen channel for people who are on Farcaster. And the idea was like, I just want to reward people on here. Like essentially, if you're posting and you're getting a lot of engagement, then you'll get a lot of tokens. And so I created a leaderboard, just like Blur had a leaderboard. So that was sort of like a meta for a while, like leaderboards and points. And I think it's a great thing. I love leaderboards and points. I think it's a great way to gamify and get a lot of engagement and stuff like that. So we had that, and we airdropped it, and people really loved it, and then it kept spreading, and then more people kept getting interested in the token, and we came up with like unique mechanisms of how to spread the token, and that was through tipping, which is not like super revolutionary. I used to be on 4chan, and I got like a bunch of Bitcoin, or maybe not Bitcoin, but like Litecoin for sure, and some other tokens on 4chan back in the day when I was more interested in Bitcoin. They would sort of like tip it to you, or like essentially they'd ask you for your wallet address, and you have to install the node, and then they'd send it to you. And then with like Dogecoin, like that was big. Like there's a big tipping culture on Reddit. Somebody created a Dogecoin tipping bot, so it wasn't like incredibly new, like giving people tokens. But we decided to do it like on Farcaster, where if you post something, people can tip you sort of directly in the comments by like typing in like 200 Degen or something, and so that made it spread, like that made Degen spread to basically everybody on Farcaster. So we became sort of like the Farcaster token for a while, and yeah, like VCs were buying it from their liquid funds and all that kind of stuff. We got one like official VC investor, one confirmation, which I mentioned, Richard Chen. He was at DuneCon a few months ago, or a few months prior, like 2 months prior, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him. And I'd wanted to like ask him like, hey, like how do I even get like funding, or like what kind of ideas are you, like all that kind of stuff. And I even DM'd him, he didn't respond. And then like 2 months later, they approached me. Mike did from Mike's one of the partners there, and essentially he approached me, and yeah, they invested $1 million into Degen. And since then, they've been the only investors we've taken on because we have plenty of cash, and all the other VCs had to buy in at the market price, and a lot of them did with their liquid funds. So what that means is they have like a pool of money they can buy in, and they don't have to ask for permission or do lockups and things like that. And so they bought into. Later on, a lot of them sold because the price went up like crazy, but. That's just how the market is. So, but yeah, TLDR, there was no big plan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, you just went down the rabbit hole in a good way, obviously, but like, wow, man, like also like that that insight of like you were looking for that VC and then they look for you, like that says a lot of what you guys were building, like how much attention organically and how much traction you were getting in such a small period of time. And through tipping, like that was one of the main drivers, which is very interesting. In Farcaster, I'm uploading here the video, one of the videos that you guys shared on your Twitter about tipping, which you will also have in the new app launching today, I assume, right?
Yeah, so a little bit about that. Tipping was considered like an in-app purchase by Apple, which it's not because I mean, maybe it is, but it's like a weird gray area because in-app purchases are things that you can basically use to like with like a credit card or Apple Pay and stuff like that. But digital currencies, like Apple doesn't support them, and because they don't support them, they don't really qualify as in-app purchases because like yes, okay, maybe something qualifies as an in-app purchase, but since Apple doesn't have a way of actually dealing with cryptocurrencies, they can't really you can't really like plug into the system. There's nothing to plug into. Like their in-app purchase system doesn't support it. So we had like a little bit of back and forth with them, and so the initial version that's coming out today is actually going to be without tipping, but we're going to like file a new version with them and resubmit because we just want to get the app out the door. I want to get it into people's hands, and it is a social media client, and so that is the main thing. But we also want to have tipping, and we also want to develop other things that are crypto and blockchain and finance related. But we don't want to have the in-app purchase tag because there's no way to officially really do the accounting with them on the in-app purchases unless it goes through a credit card or it goes through other stuff, which we don't want to do. We want to use degen as the currency. So, and degen, you buy it, not necessarily through the app, but you can also buy it through the app through MoonPay. So there's all these like weird nuances that I didn't really know about. And so I think with Apple, we're going to try and clarify all them. We're going to get tipping back in because if Pump.Fund can do it and Zora can do it, then we can do it for sure because you're essentially purchasing tokens there as well. But you don't have the in-app purchase tag. So yeah, it's going to take some time to get some of those things in there, but it is on our roadmap. And there's more exciting things on the roadmap too, but yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk all about the degen app as well, and we can start right now if you want. What has like the vision, the process? I think I saw in one of the tweets like Apple was pushing back a few times when you guys were trying to get into the App Store. The trial and error, like the experimenting, like the whole thing. If you wanna, TLDR it, but like yeah, just super interested in how the process and like how was the challenges, the experiment, and everything about like coming to this day, even though if it's a little a beta or like not the final version, it's been, as you say, in the App Store now, which is huge. So yeah, I want to learn all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can also just kind of talk about like because degen is like a weird thing. Like it's sort of a meme coin, and we have like a weird hat and all that kind of stuff. But it's also like a utility project, and so and I'm a programmer, so I also want to kind of create something that's not just 100% speculation based. So.
Yep.
It is like this weird thing. In 2024, we totally benefited from the meme coin cycle. Like we were totally classified as a meme coin, and I think that's like a great like go-to-market strategy and just in general like marketing, like to have like a meme as your logo or a meme as sort of like a layer of this like marketing solution that you do. So we have that, but beyond that, I want to create more depth. So essentially, kind of like with Bonk, where you have yes, it's a meme coin. But they did a lot of good for Solana. They airdropped a lot of tokens at the beginning, like when Solana was sort of in the trenches and not doing so well, and everybody's vibes were really down. They airdropped tokens to NFT artists and developers and all sorts of different people in the ecosystem to sort of like bootstrap this positive loop and also bootstrap people in a way. So it was very cool what they did for Solana, and this is kind of what we're trying to do for Base in a way. And more specifically, like for the Farcaster and like the decentralized social movement. And so we tried a lot of different things. First, it was like the tipping mechanism, like trying to do like fair distribution and reward people for being on this thing called Farcaster, this decentralized socialized media protocol. Then we created a degen chain, like our own blockchain, and we were one of the first people to actually do that. Like before, like Uniswap and Ape, Bored Ape Yacht Club, like with their Ape chain, all that kind of stuff. So we were definitely one of the first to do it. But since then, we've deprioritized it just because we've seen that it costs a lot of money to like create like an ecosystem, like generalist chain. Layer 3 chains are really good for like app chains and specific purposes. Like if you have an app and you want to like specifically build for that, but not for like not to compete with like Arbitrum and Base and Solana. It's like very difficult to do. So we've deprioritized that. And now we're sort of going on to like the next thing, like what can we actually do? And like going back to our roots, that is like the decentralized social media. And like going back to like what I always wanted to like experiment with like after seeing friend tech and that kind of stuff, like going back to like those roots and seeing what we can do and how we can innovate in the social space. So that's the idea behind the Degen app. And we're gonna like this base version of the app that's coming out today or that's out today is essentially just a very simple social media client, has all the basic tools you'd ever need. So liking, reposting, posting, logging in via OTP, notifications, embedded wallet, all that kind of stuff. So we have all the building blocks, all the basics. Now we want to like make it a really, really great experience and basically on par with all the other social media apps that you're used to, and especially in the Farcaster ecosystem to make sure it's on par with all of those. And then to also build like a more unique experience. So like what can we do that other people aren't doing? And those are sort of the questions we're asking ourselves and figuring out right now. And we have a couple ideas of what that might be. So yeah, but this is sort of like the general place where we want to be. And I think it's a really good place to be just because Farcaster is very young. Coinbase is leaning into it. Zapper.xyz, which is a big portfolio company for checking your portfolio, is leaning into it. So a lot of people are leaning into Farcaster as like a decentralized protocol. And I think there's going to be a lot of cool things you can do with it that you can't do with like traditional social media.
Damn. let me wrap my head around so many things that I want to say and ask. But I think first of all, it's so inspiring that you and I assume the team as well, that you get inspiration from all the other cross chains and all the experiences and everything you see, and you just build it into your own way within Degen, and always experimenting, always then try to create something new. So even if it's early versus everything else, like that's super inspiring, and I think has led you to where you are right now, always innovating and creating new things, which is great. The building blocks. So like you were saying, like going back to your roots, from the initial vision, like you were one of the main goals or missions was like rewarding creators, right? Like that's one of the main, like the core principles that you're still gonna move forward with the app. From today onwards, I assume, or like what else are you trying to focus on?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say like rewarding traders, but rewarding people that are sort of like content creators, like or yeah, I guess creators was the idea. Yeah. So definitely we want to like reward content creators in a different way. I think Web2 is monetized a lot through like typical, let's say, advertisements, like the Google ads and things like that. And so we want to find like new monetization paths. And there's a cool new trend that's kind of happening on a few social media apps. And I won't really go into those because those sort of like give away some of our ideas anyway. But I think there's some cool ways to monetize. I think there's some cool way to like basically tie finance with social and make it sort of like a new experience. One of the things with like current social media is that yes, like it is sort of like a status. I guess one of the things I would say is like we're more and more living in the virtual world. So essentially, a lot of time is spent through our social media accounts with our friends and with people we know. And one of the things that we sort of do on these social media things is also we sort of try and show off our status. Like you don't really have a lot of people posting like with them crying or they're angry or stuff. It's mostly like happy pictures on vacation, hobbies, things like that, like expressions of yourself in a way. And part of that expression is also like to some degree status, I believe. And I think we do that in the regular world too. Some people wear watches or certain clothing or certain sunglasses or whatever it might be. Maybe they drive a certain car. Some people lean less into that. Some people lean into more. Everybody has their own thing, but they try and kind of show off in a sense, like, hey, I am this type of person, and I have this much amount of money, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I feel like on social media, that's something that you can only kind of show in a picture, and usually people try and do that. But I think there's other ways of doing it too, and especially like with, like, for instance, NFTs. A lot of people on crypto Twitter have really expensive NFTs, like the crypto punks, and so you see a lot of people with their avatar. And I thought that was a great idea that Twitter had. It was like, hey, you can essentially turn your PFP into take it from an NFT, yeah. And so I think that's great. That's like, hey, like I own, I don't personally own, but let's say I do own like a crypto coin, and so it's like worth 150K or 200K or whatever it's worth now. Then, and you put that as an NFT, and people see that, oh, this is legit. This is not a JPEG. This is actually on the blockchain. It's connected to your wallet. It's verified. That's like a cool status symbol, and it's like it's a way of being like, hey, this guy's either really early, he got really into crypto early, he really believes in the crypto because he spent so much money on that, or whatever it is. And so like that's another reason why you might want to go follow someone, not just because they have a lot of followers, but because they have like cool things tied to their account, cool symbols that you identify with, or maybe they have like some Lamborghini NFT or something that is also maybe exclusive or something like that. So NFTs are one place, tokens are another place. Maybe somebody has $1 million of bonk in their wallet, and that's really interesting because you're like, whoa, this guy's really into Solana and he's in that ecosystem. He must have been really early to the ecosystem or to the drop, or maybe it's worth following that person. So, and we do that intuitively anyway. Like on crypto Twitter, a lot of people say like, I've traded my way from $50 to $50,000 or something, and so we have ways of verifying that and stuff. So it is like a cool thing, and it does add like another layer of complexity. And since we are living more in the virtual world, I think we're going to want to buy virtual items more and more, and we are going to go into like this Facebook, let's say, like metaverse that they coined, or they created their company around the word metaverse. And so I think we are going to go into the metaverse, and in the metaverse, I think we're going to have, or the virtual world, whatever you want to call it, we're going to have more digital items, and those digital items are probably going to be on the blockchain.
Man, super nostalgic. I mean, we hear it and we the term metaverse, but like it was so big a couple of years ago, and you hit another chord there with the Pogs and the Twitter PFPs. Man, I missed that. I completely forgot about that, and it was legit a great idea. Like I don't know why it disappeared, but anyways, so many things come and go, and then we just forget the next day, and the space and everything moves so fast, so it's just part of the whole thing. But yeah, you're making an experience very more focused on virtual items, which is great. Are you also considering like streaming? Video content, more short form clip, and all of this?
Yeah, so we've seen like the Base app and the Farcaster app, which both use the Farcaster protocol. They have like like these short form video reels and stuff like that, essentially like YouTube shorts or TikTok type of shorts. So we've discussed this, and we'll probably do something around like video shorts, just because it seems like it's sort of standard now everywhere, including like X and stuff. So there will be like a section, like there's some things in social right now that if you don't have it, you're sort of like missing a key piece. And so it's almost like with Tesla, when they came out with their car, it's not just enough to be like a new manufacturing company. You have to have all the elements of a car that everybody expects a car to have, plus one additional thing, which is like the electric engine. And you can't just have the electric engine and have like really subpar experience for the car. So that's like the big challenge, is that the experience of social media right now is very, very high, and like a lot of the technology has been built up for like over a decade now, for like Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of Instagram. So people are used to like a very polished experience. So you need to bring something that's basically very polished, but then also add that like electric engine to the top, which is like this new thing But
Yeah.
if you just bring the electric engine and just say, hey, like, we can go ahead and do this, it's an EV, it's not enough. Like, you have to actually you have to
Bring
actually
something
bring
into it.
everything. Yeah. So it is kind of difficult because there's going to be some amount of time where we have to catch up and get to parity with the features of all the other social media clients and what everybody expects, and like the experience they expect, and then add in like an extra layer and be like, well, now we have this and everybody doesn't. So it's going to take some time.
Yeah, no, it's part of the process. I mean, now the expectations keep rising on what people compare. I mean, in this case, DJing with or any other product, and you need to have at least that foundational standard, and then something different, something new to stand out. Otherwise, people forget about you the next day. So it's constantly innovating, constantly experimenting, which is also super fun in a way. And I wanted to ask eventually throughout the show as well about the purple hat. And I think I mean, my first thought was magic. The hat stays on, but like, where's that inspiration? I think you have it imprinted everywhere. Obviously, it's part of the branding or that brand. But like, where did that come from? The inspiration, and what does it mean? Maybe that it's not like publicly stated on Twitter.
Yeah, so for that, essentially, a lot of the decisions at DGen were made by the community. So we basically had like voting and things like that, and some of it just kind of authentically happened. And so at the beginning, people just started calling themselves D-gentlemen. That was like a thing that's sort of kind of gone out. It's like no longer a thing, but now people just call themselves D-gens and stuff. But yeah,
That's
they like.
serious.
Yeah, so people just started doing that, and then they started posting the hat emoji, the top hat emoji, and then we had a bounty for whoever creates the best DGen logo wins a prize of DGen, and so we had a member of Flock, which is like this art collective in Spain, and they won essentially. They were on Farcaster and they won the design competition for the logo, and so since then we've had this hat as our logo, and it's pretty cool because it's very remixable. Like, you can put the hat on any character, you can put it in any place, and it makes it like very easy to make cool content with.
Sorry
So
to interrupt you, but this is one of my favorite ones.
yeah, there you go.
And I saw an old lady with it as well. I just gave the finger. And like, you guys have really cool memes throughout like on your timeline. Like, well, this is like, it's super inspiring and gets you going. This with the hack and like the hacker. This, let me just find out the one with the lady. This one is so good. It's so simple, but like, it says a lot, and it's just part of the culture that you guys are building, like DGen and on that meme, which is I love.
Well, with the art also, like for the first year and a half, essentially the community was creating a lot of memes, a lot of artwork. And in September, we hired like a graphic designer, like a contractor, to sort of like help us create this like visual language and start developing like more of like a trajectory. And so the first thing we tried was like this 3D world. And the 3D world is like kind of hard to do just because 3D animation and 3D graphics require like a lot of just time and rendering and creating all the different components and things like that. So it's not really easy to do. So a lot of the stuff that you have to do is like more AI. You have to generate a lot of elements in AI that are 3D and put them together, and it kind of looks a little bit fake-ish. And so we're going in this direction, which was kind of cool. It was kind of going to be cyberpunk and stuff like that. And then we've kind of decided to go in a different direction now. So if you kind of see some of the newer stuff, because we're experimenting, we're trying to find the right style for DGen. And DGen is more like a counterculture. So essentially, a lot of the memes that you're seeing, they're like cats and dogs and furry animals and like very family friendly and stuff like that. And that's very cool, and that's like a niche, and that's their own world. But like the word DGen is like comes from degenerate, and so essentially it's like
risk.
exactly. Yeah, it's like the people like taking on a lot of risk and like Robin Hood trading and Wall Street bets and all that kind of stuff. So it's very counterculture, and I like to kind of compare it to like hip hop and graffiti and skateboarding and maybe even like electronic music back in the day and stuff like that. Whereas very underground, and like your mom would be like, well, don't hang out with those skateboarder kids because they probably smoke weed or something, or don't listen to hip hop because that's like not that good. But anyway, but then it all went into the mainstream. So now you have like bands, you have skateboarding in the Olympics, you have Eminem as like a top artist and all that kind of stuff. So I think degen culture will also sort of permeate and come like into the mainstream. And like we have the best ticker. We're like representatives of like the whole degen culture of like trading, doing irresponsible things, but that are fun and social and things like that. So yeah, it's that's sort of our bread and butter. So so now the direction that we're going with the artwork, with the newer artwork, is more like this underground vibe. Like you see more graffiti, you see more like this underground style, not like this like let's say like 13
Family
plus.
friendly.
Yeah. It's more like no, this is like more like yeah for people who are like in the underground.
Yeah, no, and degen as a word, like it's one of the most used in Web3, and as it's just so iconic, and it goes with the culture. So like everyone considers themselves a degen deep down or like on a day-to-day basis, but like there's levels of degen, and the most degen you are, the more riskier, the more dangerous, the more crazy fun you can be. And that also leads to my next question, and I mean, and connects with like I want to know a little bit more about the cult about the culture that becomes a cult of degen, like deep down in the community. Like is it more like education? Does it feel more like a cabal? Like this example that you guys did a Guinness World Record, what was it, like 38 kickflips in 60 seconds, that it started with a bounty idea and then it became this video experience that maybe the rest of the community felt a part of. Like how is the culture, the community, the day-to-day in the Twitter, the Telegram, the Farcaster? How is that within the community?
Yeah. Essentially, it's very bottom up. So people kind of authentically come and engage and create ideas. And so this bounty was created by somebody from POIDH.xyz, I think is the website. Essentially, they are building on the degen chain, and they have an app where you can post bounties. And so they posted this bounty, and they really got this like idea started. Like, hey, let's beat a Guinness World Book of Records. Let's create a bounty for that. So and
awesome.
this guy right here is a pro skater, Dave Bashinsky. He's also on Farcaster and stuff. So I reached out to him, and then Kenny, who's the creator of POIDH, he reached out to him, and then he just kind of started, going at it, and he basically did it. So yeah, it's pretty cool because like degen has like legit like lore. Like we have pro skaters doing things. Like we're breaking Guinness Book of World Records. So there's not a lot of meme coins that can say they've done this. So we're doing all that kind of stuff. We're making an app. So I think really
excuse me.
Yeah.
This is for degen.
Yeah, I just wanted to play that part. Like this is for degen, and then he goes and like spins the whole day, like 38 kickflips in 60 seconds.
Yeah, man. He's like a really
he's just going.
So yeah, and I used to skateboard too, so I'm like really into this kind of stuff as well. But anyways, yeah, the culture of degen, like it's not a cabal because like I never really gave I never gave tokens to like any like influencers or insiders or things like that. Other than one confirmation who was a VC, that they're really the only ones who were able to buy the token directly from me. That was it, and so everybody else, like it was a fair launch sort of mechanism. We distributed to everybody with certain rules, and yeah, I think we did a really good job with that. So degen is definitely very like bottom up, I would say, in terms of like the community base.
Nice. For anyone wondering, like with this big announcement that the app is going live today, do they need degen to use the app, or like you just get extra benefits, perks, and like while using it, just a bigger idea onto the whole get into it?
Yeah, so right now you need an invite code. So if you signed up for the wait list, and I think there's like about 29,000 people that sign up for the wait list. Yeah, yes, that's a good one. We're going to be rolling out invites slowly. So I think today 500 went out, and tomorrow maybe like another 500, and then we'll probably amp that up and start releasing more next week. And so we'll go down the list and we'll kind of see how things are going. And so right now it's sort of invite only. It's on Apple iOS only, And we'll start opening it up more and more as we fix bugs, as we add more features and things like that. So it is a little bit like exclusive and invite only for now. You don't really need degen, but there is an embedded wallet, and we do want to get the tipping through the Apple review process. So that's probably going to be another thing that we do. Now that the app is finally in the App Store, we're going to submit a version with tipping, and we'll kind of see what Apple says about that and try and get that through the door. Like, we'll get it through the door. It's gonna be a process. So it's going to take some time, and then once that happens, yes, you'll be able to use degen to tip others. And that's sort of like a low value prop idea, but that's sort of like where everything started. So we want to have at least tipping, but later on we want to do a lot more with degen. Like, we want to create a whole economy in the app of things you can buy and sell and stuff like that. But that's not like speculation based. Like, I don't want to go like the pump.fun route or like the creator coin route, like with Zora, where you're buying creator tokens and they're all just speculation. They all go to zero. So the idea here is not to go that way. We really want to like build cool things that you can buy and purchase and things like that. So it's a little bit different than what Coinbase and Farcaster are doing, because they're really leaning into the wallet and the trading aspect of everything in terms of like trading, in terms of like swapping tokens, or like they bought Clanker. Farcaster bought Clanker, which is a token launcher on Base. So they really want to like see people launch tokens, app tokens, and people buy and invest these tokens and swap and do all that kind of stuff. So which is like an interesting path, and that's what Coinbase is really doing. Like, they're leaning into like with the Base app, like you can buy a post, you can also buy a Zora token, and you can import your Zora token into your profile and all that kind of stuff. So you have basically tokens for posts, you have tokens for creators, you have all kinds of stuff that you can trade. But I feel like it's all very speculation based. The app coin idea is a little bit less speculation based, because that actually makes a little bit more sense. If you want to buy a token from a person that's actually building a product, that might actually make a little bit of sense. So that's kind of cool. But for us, we don't want to go down that route. Like, I think token launchers have run their course. There's a lot of like entrenched players. Pump.fun is not going away anytime soon. So I feel like that's, again, like, you need to do something with token launchers plus a little extra to win in that game. And the meta is sort of over, and the players have sort of stabilized. But anybody can win in that area. But I just feel like speculation isn't that interesting to me. It's like, even though our name is degen and like it's a casino.
Yeah, I was waiting the whole time to say it. Like, it's supposed to be fucking degen.
Yeah. No, like, we definitely want to do something for degens that's interesting, but not just pure speculation, because I feel like the value prop of that is that everything goes to zero. Eventually, people get tired, and probably there's a niche for that. But I just don't think it's like, I don't think the TAM, like the total addressable market, is as big as people think it is. Like, I think there's a market for Las Vegas, there's a market for casinos, and that's great. Like, those do really well, but that's not it's not the size of like a Facebook or something like that. So but anyway, yeah, crypto works really well for those for the use cases too. So
yeah, no, definitely. I was holding myself to say, like, man, it literally says everywhere that you're super digit. But on another, like, thinking it properly, like, it's way better that you're thinking bigger and like actually rewarding creators and like building something long term and not just based on speculation and potentially things going to zero. So that's obviously way better for everyone involved in degen. For anyone that wants to buy degen or get involved today, following your socials, obviously, and any of the exchanges that you recommend, will they be able to purchase it today on the app or not yet because of the regulations from App Store? Like, what should people do to get involved?
yeah, the best way right now is probably to purchase. If you're on DeFi, then you can use Uniswap on Base. We have a huge pool there, and there's tons of liquidity. In terms of centralized exchanges, then you have it up here on the screen: Coinbase, Bybit, Revolut, Binance Futures, all these places. So you can buy it there. In terms of like the actual app, yes, we do have like a MoonPay integration. I don't think it went live just with this release, but probably I would say in the next week or 2 weeks, you'll be able to purchase DGen in the app. So that would be super easy. And yeah, I would definitely say check out the DGen app. First of all, go to our like Twitter. Like that's where all the info is going to be. That's where all the updates are going to happen. Second of all, I would say like download the app if you have iOS. Um, I'm sure invite codes are going to be all over the place, and people are going to be sharing their invite codes and screenshots and stuff like that. So I think it will be pretty easy to find them. That will just help us scale the app a little bit better, so that there's not like 29,000 people from the waitlist joining all at once. Just sort of like slowly. And so the issue is like one thing is like attention, and the next thing is retention. And so like DGen has a ton of attention, and so anything we build, like people will like eyeballs will be on it, and people will go check it out. But I like the one thing I would say is like the retention part is something that we really want to work on and figure out like how are we going to like keep people in the app. And so people who are like listening, like we're going to be doing like a lot of updates. Like the app right now is like a baseline version. And so rather than like build, and then finally release like in a year, we'd rather release something today and keep building every week, every other week, releasing something new, a new feature and stuff like that. So the app is really going to start changing a lot. So don't expect the app to be the same way it is today, tomorrow and the next day, and especially in a month from now, the app is going to look totally different. So I would say give it a chance, keep it on your phone. If it's not useful to you now, join our Telegram, join our Farcaster, join our Twitter, but especially our Telegram. That's where I really take the most feedback from. It's just the best format for it, and also Farcaster. Like Farcaster is also good, but Telegram seems to be a better place to just chat and discuss ideas. So, anyway, that's sort of like the things I would say is give us feedback on Telegram and Farcaster, Twitter mostly just to kind of follow us for updates, and download the DGen app and try it and just leave it on your phone, and we'll keep updating it. You'll see some cool stuff.
So exciting, man. Twitter, Telegram, Farcaster. If anyone has questions, is it normally you like hearing the feedback and seeing if it could be implemented? I'm sure you have a team, obviously, but like how's the flow? And if anyone has any new ideas, like did they find you faster or better on Telegram? You said, right?
Yeah, I think Telegram's the best idea. We have 2 Telegram channels. One is a public channel, and I check that one all the time. And also we have a channel for whales, which right now is not the barrier to entry is not that high because it's only 1 million DGen, and right now DGen is like 0.0016 cents. So it's about $1,700 to become a whale. So you can join that, and like there's a really good conversation there. And we're gonna try and give people there like earlier access and beta access to certain features and stuff. So those are good places. And like I always check. So I'm always online. I'm always checking things. I'm reading stuff. I don't respond to everybody because there's just like a ton of basically time constraints and things like that. So I would say definitely add feedback and talk about it there. I'm for sure going to read it. And we're a small team. So it's me. There's 2 developers. We have Tomasz, our front-end developer, Marcin, our back-end developer. And we have a graphic designer that's not full-time. He's basically like a contractor, and he's really working hard, but he's basically full-time. He's like working all the time on DGen. So it's like a small, tight team, but it's also good for us just because we want to make sure that we're focusing on the most important problems, and it really focuses us and makes us think of like, what can we do? Because there's so much things to do. And so figuring out like what is the top priority, what are the things that we can do, and what are the things that we cannot do. So we're really lean. We're trying not to spend a lot of money. We have a good amount of cash, so we're good to go for some time. And we're just going to keep building this.
Love it, man. And just for one last question before we closing thoughts up afterwards. What are you? It's such a big milestone. Obviously, congratulations again on today launching the app, and it's been almost 2 years in January, and everything that you guys have ahead. What are you most excited about? Like today, obviously launching, but like and going ahead. You mentioned experimenting and innovating. you sound very passionate about that idea, but like, is there's something specific that you are most excited today, and like short term and long term?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drop too much because there's like a lot of ideas floating around and stuff like that. But I definitely think like the whole status game and this sort of area has a lot of potential. And so I definitely see DGen kind of going in that route. And so like Pudgy Penguins really went into let's say sort of like IP and sort of like into like the real world and you know, I think they're creating a movie, they created a game, they have like Pokemon style cars and they have the plushies in Walmart. And so that's a really cool strategy. I think we want to stay in the virtual world, stay in the digital world a little bit more, the more that I think about it. And if we do something, I think there's going to be some cool stuff that we do around collectibles, like digital collectibles and stuff like that. And so I don't want to give away like all the ideas that we sort of have around that, but I think we're sort of thinking around that a little bit more and a little bit less around like launching tokens and speculation and more like and more like sort of like that world of collecting things and that having value and being able to like exchange it with people and stuff like that. So I think by the holiday season we should have something cool to show in that area. We're probably going to build it up piece by piece. But we'll probably have some collectibles or stuff that you can purchase and do like really cool things because it's not just about purchasing stuff and then leaving it there. It's like, what can you do with that purchase? Like, how can you make it useful? So I think we're gonna have some cool use cases of like what you can do with it. But yeah, that's in the pipeline. I don't want to talk about it too much right now.
You don't want to spill the alpha. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the main stuff is really just like how can we make this app like a really great experience. And right now we're in the Farcaster bubble. So we need to figure out like who are the main players, Farcaster, Base App, Zapper, and how do we make DGen app a main player in the Farcaster ecosystem. Once we kind of figure out that and create a really strong client, a really great experience, and we start bringing in sort of like these new unique features into the app, and then we can start thinking of like broader, like how do we get out of the Farcaster bubble, decentralized social, and how can we actually get like reach into like more like the Web 2 area. And I assume that that's going to take like years and years and years of time to like kind of adjust and also like tell people the story of like why freedom in sort of like this decentralized world is important, why like decentralized social matters, explain it to people because a lot of people say people don't care about the blockchain, like whatever technology is being used, and you know, don't even tell them about that. But I think there is a lot of stuff that is really important that the blockchain solves. It's not just about adding a new product, it's about like what's also under the hood. And I do think that people are going to be more interested. It's just like kind of when you buy a Toyota, you might not have to know exactly how the engine is constructed, but you know that everybody sort of says like, oh, these engines are very durable, they had the first sort of hybrid engine, all that kind of stuff. And so people have a layer of trust. They sort of trust these cars as like being very, very reliable, and you can put a lot of miles on it. And so I feel like with the blockchain, it's the same thing. You don't have to know about all the inner workings, but we do want to kind of sell people on this idea that it is more reliable. It does add to more of like intellectual freedom and freedom of speech and stuff like that than like traditional Web 2 platforms where the algorithms and the overlords can sort of do whatever they want. So I think we can sort of market that and frame that in a way and slowly start chipping away at the Web 2 social world. And hopefully they will adapt and they'll also sort of go that route. So I feel like there's a really long vision for all of this. And there's a really good use case of like putting finance into the social feed. That's one thing. And then also like creating like a more democratic environment, a more free environment for people to choose their algorithms, for people to choose their feeds, for people to choose their clients, their UI, UX, how they actually view the social media experience. There's a lot of choices that I think people don't have right now. It's kind of like if you're on Facebook, what they give you is what you get. And like, it shouldn't really be like you should have the choice. Just like with email, you have the choice to use Gmail, Yahoo, Proton, whatever whatever client you're into. If you want to use Outlook, Thunderbird, you can use that. So I think people with email have realized that I can use whatever I want. I can still communicate with my social network with people. Social networks are the same thing. It's just the communication device. And right now you're very locked into like a certain way of communicating with people. But that shouldn't be the case. It should be like with email. You can communicate how you want with your social network. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's done in this space.
Man, you could talk forever. Like in a good way, obviously, like you're so passionate and you have a million ideas that I'm sure like you're just missing more hours in the day to execute them all. But like it's so inspiring to meet people like that, like so locked into like we can create this and like expand on this side and like become one of the big players and then innovate. Like it's wild. And it's so happy that we could get you today on the show and learn more about you, your experience, your journey, everything you're building on DGen. And yet these that you were saying, like people can have options and then the freedom to choose the customizable way or give feedback to the team and actually the team listening and maybe creating that in a way. So very excited for, sorry.
Yeah, well, one thing I guess I'll say also is kind of like we've heard all like the horror stories of people who built up their YouTube channels and other channels on different platforms, and then one day YouTube just sends them an email that basically you're deplatformed, you're canceled, or something like that. And it's like, well, you should be able to take your followers that you've built out, and like if YouTube doesn't want to like host you on their website, okay, then that's fine. But maybe there's like a thing called like FreeTube, and essentially everybody that's that's followed you, you don't lose all of that. You don't lose your videos, you don't lose your content, you don't use your whole network. You can just kind of go to like just like with Gmail, you can go and okay, Gmail has blocked you. They say you're just sending spam, or for some reason they think that they disagree with you politically or something, so you can't use Gmail. But you can take your email and especially if you have a custom domain like Yasik or something at dgen.tips, like our website or something, then you can take that to wherever you want. You don't have to use Gmail. You can use Outlook or some other thing, and you can still communicate with everybody that you've communicated with before. Like they just you can't use maybe that one thing. So and the same thing goes with like the Apple Store and Google Play. I think there's going to be a whole path where we're going to see more competition and more people sort of entering the space, and it's not going to be just held in like one person's hand. And then there's going to be a better incentive for YouTube and for all these other platforms to actually make sure that they are keeping good content creators on their platform, regardless of sort of like their prejudice of like, hey, you're politically aligned this way or that way. It's going to be more about like who's really great at content and who can we monetize, and more like capitalistic of like who's actually popular. If you're popular, then you stay on. Like we don't want to boot you because somebody else will take you. And right now it's not like that. Right now it's kind of like, well, we sort of decide that your content isn't that great or it violates some rules that we sort of created. So anyway, I think there's lots to do, man. There's lots to do in this space.
Yeah, it's completely been at their expense, and then you can lose it all overnight for something that they might have misunderstood. And yeah, I think more and more creators are looking for that ownership and that control of like their content and like a bit of freedom in new apps and new opportunities. So definitely a big day, a big time to be building like something different and something that can stand out.
Exactly.
So, any last thoughts? Any last comments before we close the session?
Yeah, man, I just think DGen is a great counterculture movement in crypto and beyond. We have a great ticker. We have a great meme. I definitely recommend everybody follow us on Twitter. That's like the number one thing. If you're into DGen, if you want to learn more about what we're doing, then just follow us on Twitter. That's the best place to figure everything out. And then second, if you download the app and you have comments or anything, you can post directly through the DGen app. Right now, of course, it's invite only, so it'll take some time for you to get invites. But once you're in, you can post directly there. I'm there. You can message me essentially or comment, and I'll read all that stuff. And also the Telegram is a great place where I'm also very present and reading everything. And even if I don't respond, I definitely read all the feedback, and then we use it to sort of plan for the future.
So excited, man. Yeah, look for those invites, everybody. Follow their socials. They're building something very unique, very special. buy Degen. You can become a well today for $1,600. And yeah, they're building something very exciting. So Jason, thanks again for being here and sharing your story and everything you're building. Super inspiring, super interesting. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys create as much as you want to and everything that you have planned for and becoming a big player, obviously. So yeah, thanks again for taking the time. Thanks again for everyone in the audience, anyone in the comments. Shout out to Xiaoming, Sina, Sir Scorpion, everyone else that was around. And yeah, Jason, thank you so much. It's been
Awesome.
a pleasure, man.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, man, have a good one.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Wherever you are in the world, have a good day, evening, and we'll see you in the next one. We're going to fade out with a 30-second countdown and see you in episode 30. Bye-bye.